Bills make me wanna shout. Kick your heels up and shout. Throw your hands up and shout. Throw your head back and shout. Come on now, the Bills are making it happen now.
All right, little Buffalo Bills music to kick us off here. Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital at MC Show Digital on our YouTube channel. We love for you to like, subscribe us if you see anything in this video or listen to anything in this video you like. Just click the little like button. Always cool to do that. Let us know we're doing things that you like. On with us today, you can see him there in the third box, is Sal Capaccio, our Bills insider, sideline reporter, also on WGR Radio, joining us in the digital world. Sal, time to talk some minicamp. The Bills have finished up their minicamp, and I wanted to get right to it and talk about it. James Cook was a show, not a no-show, as Adam Schefter had suggested. Let's start there. James Cook coming to minicamp.
Yeah, good to be on with you guys. So James Cook really was the storyline the last couple months for the Bills, because this is a team that really has no other storylines when you have such a kind of really good roster, a great quarterback, a team that's been, all the way to the AFC Championship game again. Off the field, though, contractually, lots of extensions. 5 guys really were up for extensions this year. Who got them? Christian Benford, Terrell Bernard, Khalil Shakir, Greg Rousseau, and I'm missing somebody in there. But in the meantime, James Cook was one of them, and Josh Allen got one as well. And really, it came down to, would James Cook be one of these guys to get extended? And you heard his camp, or at least saw some stuff on social media. $15 million floated around per year. His brother's even tweeting $20 million. And really, the Bills were never going to approach that number, I think. And it got to a point where, like, all right, we're going to move on to these other guys. We're going to lock them up. And, kind of James Cook's been the one that's been in the background there. So the question was, would he show up for mandatory minicamp? He did. And as you said, there were a lot of maybe rumblings he wouldn't show up. Or would he show up and hold in, not do anything? He showed up. He did everything. So now the next question is, does he show up on time for training camp? Does he do a hold in? Is there something going on behind the scenes? How does that look? But we've kind of squashed that initial storyline of James Cook and his contract situation for the time being.
So let me ask you, Sal, you said you temporarily have squashed it for now. Training camp's right around the corner. What is the expectation ahead of that? Or is there no expectation? We're all just wait and see mode.
The expectation is he'll be at camp. He kind of indicated he would be there, but he did leave the door open a little bit of, showing up and maybe seeing how things happen when he gets there. But, I think that this certainly could get ugly, but I think it's kind of shown that it won't at this point. And I think what's going to happen is James Cook's going to play out the final year of his deal on a Buffalo Bills contract, and then we'll see. And look, at the end of the year, the Bills have a transition tag and a franchise tag, and if they really want to, they can pull those levers. But I think he probably plays in the final year of his deal because he kind of has no other option. I don't think you're looking at a Le'Veon Bell situation here. Obviously, we know what happened. You guys know what happened with that. But, I think this is this kind of situation here where James Cook, it's not that the Bills don't want to sign James Cook. They do. They just disagree on what his value is. Really, that's what that comes down to. And this is going to take maybe either their side, James Cook's side, really coming down, or the Bills coming up. In the meantime, you're under contract for a year. And for James Cook and what he said when he showed up to minicamp, hey, I'm here. I'm a leader on this team. I want to win. I think that showed me a lot and talked a lot about and spoke well of him saying, I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do while under contract, even if I'm not happy with what I'm making.
Sal, how big is the gap? Yeah, just want to go real quick on that. How big is that gap? Right, we're hearing other people say 15 million, 20 million, and then and that's good to know too that the Bills would love to re-sign James Cook, but at their price. What is their price?
Yeah, we don't know. It's a good question. We can all hypothesize. I can tell you this: there's only 3 running backs in the league that have an AAV of 15 mil plus: Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, and Derrick Henry. That's it. And James Cook is a really, really fine player for the Bills. He is only on the field for, I think, less than 60% of their snaps. He's not a third down blocking back necessarily. He's great on third down catching the ball. They have Ray Davis, they have Ty Johnson. James Cook is a guy that is a really good big part of this offense, but can you really justify paying him the kind of money Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, and Christian McCaffrey make for what they mean to their offense? And I agree that for the Bills, that the answer is no. Look, I know that Joe Shane got a lot of grief on, as you know, Jim, on Hard Knocks for a lot of the ways that things went. But something he said that is true. He said, I'm not paying my quarterback $40 million to hand off. Josh Allen's making $50 million a year. He's not to hand off to James Cook. That's where the offense goes. So you have to kind of be very careful how you allocate money. To answer your question, Paul, I don't know what the Bills offer is. If it's $10 million, that's a sizable gap between 10 and 15, right? That's 2/3 of the money that you're talking about right there. So I don't know, but is it even $10 million? There's a lot of ways. And what's important to James? Is it guaranteed money up front? Is it AAV? I don't really know all that. That's a very good question that we don't know the answer to, but we do know that the numbers that his side have at least floated out there have been 15 million plus. Now, when he was asked about that at minicamp, he kind of backed off. He's like, yeah, I don't know why I did that. And I don't know if that means that he's willing to come down and he just doesn't want to say that he's willing to come down.
Sal, let's talk about an important group in minicamp, and that's the rookies. Obviously, the Bills not picking at the top of the draft, but trying to add some important pieces. So are all the rookies signed? And tell me a little bit about what you saw in terms of performance from some of the Bills' hot prospects here.
The only rookie not signed is defensive tackle TJ Sanders in the second round. It seems like it's always second rounders that don't get signed. There's something in the contract language and slotting, the way that stuff works with their bonuses. We're not worried about that. He'll be signed. He'll be in camp. The Bills went out and they kind of took some swings this draft. I always like to say, when you look back at the Bills drafts the last several years, what they've really done under Brandon Beane, he's been very good at building the roster, but he's kind of drafted for the floor. He's really drafted guys they've developed. They've been able to knock on the door and say, we need you in case of emergency to come in a big spot. And they've done that. I mean, you go back to guys. I mean, Damar Hamlin is a 6th round pick. He started at safety last year for a team who went to the AFC Championship game. Look at Khalil Shakir, what he's done as a 4th round pick, right? You could look at a guy like Jaquan Johnson, who was a very good special teamer for 4 years, but the list goes on and on. The Bills have had those. Christian Benford obviously turned into a great player as a 6th round pick, but what the Bills haven't done enough of is had those real big, high end Josh Allen type of players that have come along a little bit every once in a while. Like if you want to compare them to the Kansas City Chiefs, they've had more guys maybe kind of bust out, but they've had guys that really have hit their ceiling a little bit more and kind of bust through that. And I think the Bills went this year to maybe try and find that a little bit more. That's why Max Harrison, the fastest player at the combine, he's drafted with their first pick, cornerback out of Kentucky. And I really like the physical traits he has. When I watch him at camp, though, I'm thinking, okay, he has a lot of physical traits, but there's some times where you're like, he didn't know in the NFL that guy can make that catch, right? So he's got to kind of get adjusted to the NFL game. He's not quite of a physical corner, but he's got those real physical traits. Listen, I think really along the Bills roster, they're still very good. And the only open starting spot I think you could even argue might be cornerback number 2 opposite Christian Benford. And to me, that's between Max Harrison and the veteran Trey White. And Trey White comes back after a year. And I think Trey White's the starter going into training camp at outside corner number 2. I think Max Harrison will get every opportunity to win the job, though. So, and if he can do that, that's fine. The thing that really stands out about this rookie class, guys, the Bills have some size on the defensive line now. They drafted TJ Sanders, who I just said, but how about Landon Jackson? And then Deion Walker is just a behemoth of a man who's a fantastic athlete, also Kentucky, Max Harrison's teammate. But the way he moves as an interior lineman at his size, as Bobby Babbage said, their DC, guys at that size shouldn't be able to move that way, right? Now, you really went out and addressed size on the defensive line. And then secondary, not only Max Harrison, they drafted I can't think of his name right now. I was gonna say, I always do this. It's not Landon Jackson. Yes. It's hold on. Let me grab his name real quick.
First name, last name.
Jordan Hancock. There you go. Jordan Hancock. I always want to say Landon Jackson for Jordan Hancock, and you can see why with the names there. Jordan Hancock out of Ohio State. He's both a nickel corner and a safety, so they'll figure out him. And then the other one is Dorian Strong out of Virginia Tech, who looks the total part of an NFL defensive back. This kid's dad is a competitive weightlifter and bodybuilder. That gives you an idea of kind of what stature he has.
Hey, Sal, I know you're probably a fan of the movie My Cousin Vinny. I have met a person in my life who isn't a fan of that movie. I bring you to the scene with Marissa Tomei where she stamps her foot. I'm stamping my foot right now. And she says, meanwhile, my biological clock is ticking, ticking, ticking. All right. So let me talk to you about Josh Allen. Is his NFL clock ticking, ticking, ticking? What is the sense of urgency around the Bills in trying to put a roster around him that could win a ring? That's what everybody wants.
I think everybody's NFL clock is ticking unless your name is Tom Brady, right?
Good point,
that's kind of there. But okay, I think I can actually narrow this down and say the Bills believe they have 5 years to win championships with Josh Allen. And I think that's shown by their actions this offseason. Josh had 2 years left on his deal. They wanted to make him whole by paying him in line with what maybe the best top 1, top 2, top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL should be making. We can make that argument, but he's the league MVP and he was making like 10th to 12th money, right? You can't have that. And on top of that, he had 2 years left. So what they do, sign him into a 6-year contract extension. Then they go out, and this is very important, I think, to note how they did this. They had the aforementioned Christian Benford, Greg Rousseau, Terrell Bernard, and Khalil Shakir all going into 1 year left in their deal. They all got 4-year extensions. So they are all locked up for 5 years specifically. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think they said, we have 5 years to make it happen with this core and with Josh Allen. Josh Allen's 28, just turning 29 years old. He still has plenty of, prime years left. But the way he plays, obviously, you want to keep him in. And it's not like he's taking a beating. He was not sacked a lot last year, but he does run a lot. You want to make sure that you take advantage of these years before it gets to a point where he can't do a lot of the things that he's normally able to do. I think the Bills are looking at it as a 5-year window to try and win championships with Josh Allen.
Again, we're speaking with Sal Capaccio, Buffalo Bills sideline reporter, WGR 550, and veteran digital presence. 13,000 subscribers at Sal Sports on the YouTube. Congratulations, Sal Capaccio, baby.
Yeah, thanks. The YouTube channel itself, we just started really kind of ramping up the last couple of years when we started doing It's Always Game Day in Buffalo with our local ABC affiliate sports director, Matt Bove. And we said, hey, we're going to put it on my personal channel. So I already had it built in, and we've grown it to 13,000 subscribers over the last couple of years. So it's been really cool to see that. And then on Twitter, obviously, you guys know, I'm close to 200,000 subscribers or followers, I should say. Yeah. And I have a new subscriber service on Twitter as well that I can promote here. People want to come to that. Please. It's less than a cup of coffee a month, and you get extra content, extra videos. We have a private Discord server. It's a lot of interactions and access to me. So I appreciate that. But thank you. This type of medium, this space that we're doing now with these podcasts and these video casts are just like they've really been able to bring all of us closer to fans and give them a lot more access and fans closer to us. And I just think it's been a real great thing. But it's tricky to navigate sometimes, but when you get it, I think it's been great for everybody.
Yeah, we're actually closing out our radio career. I've been in radio over 20 years here in Central New York, and a lot of people have been throwing some rose petals at my feet, and I appreciate that. It's been a wonderful, wonderful run. Radio is an amazing medium, as you know. You still practice it today. But yeah, I just see such great advantages in this digital format and a chance to also get people, we were on between 10 and noon the last bunch of years, and sometimes West Coast guests, that's very difficult to get people on the West Coast. A lot of guests are just too busy at that time of the day, even on the East Coast, to get them. So now we'll be able to open up those parameters because we can interview people at any time of the day. We can interview people on the weekends, and we can also do stuff when news is breaking, which is pretty cool. So it's nice in a timely world to be able to talk to you about Bills Minicamp, which just kind of wrapped up, and be able to kind of talk about that almost with some immediacy, which is pretty cool.
And just to jump in, our greatest challenge has been Sal. We have had our shows at the same time. So this has opened up the world now.
How many times have I texted you, Paul, and said, hey, can you come on? You're like, no, I got my show during that time, right? You're one of my number one go-to Jets guys, and we do the show at the same time, so it's been tough. So hopefully we can. Listen, I'm sad to see that you're leaving radio in one form, obviously, but you evolve in this business in a lot of ways as well, and that's what you're doing, and it's a great thing for you.
Evolution. It's a wonderful thing.
Let me see. Sal, okay, vibrate on. Okay, perfect. I'm looking forward to those calls. Yeah.
And by the way, anyone listening, you want to like our video or subscribe to our YouTube channel. Unlike Sal, we don't have those kinds of numbers yet, but we're just building our YouTube channel. As you heard Sal say, it took him a couple years to build his up. It's at MC Show Digital, and you can just go to YouTube and subscribe there, and you'll get all of our content. We'll be ramping up our content as we say goodbye to radio in just another week or so. Hey, Sal, let me ask you about acquisitions. One of the big ones is Shaq Thompson, a late acquisition for the Bills. Let's talk about how he looked in minicamp and what kind of expectations and role do you see for him with Buffalo this season?
Well, I didn't see him participate in minicamp because he's recovering from an injury. So he was rehabbing the entire time. He is a little bit older. Look, there's a history here. He was a first-round pick of Sean McDermott's, a draft pick. I think he's first round. I have to go back and look. But 2015, Sean McDermott runs the Carolina defense, and that's the year they go to the Super Bowl, with Cam Newton, and have a great year. And Shaq Thompson was really great in Sean McDermott's defense for a number of years. There's a lot of familiarity there. Him and Brandon Beane as well. He was in that front office. The Bills had one roster spot, and they wound up using that on Shaq Thompson and bringing him in as a veteran linebacker. The thing that they love about him is he has position flexibility. The Bills love position flex guys. They love guys that can play, all three spots at the linebacker spot. But, we'll see where he fits in. Terrell Bernard is their starting middle linebacker. Matt Milano's their starting weak side linebacker. We know that. I think the local kid, Joe Andreessen, had a fantastic minicamp and OTA. And I think Joe Andreessen will be the backup middle linebacker. And then Dorian Williams, who actually filled in for Matt Milano, will be the backup will linebacker. He led the team in tackles last year. I think they're set there. But that one extra guy who can play a little bit of everywhere, has that veteran presence, I think that's why they brought a guy like Shaq Thompson in.
By the way, Shaq, 25th overall pick. You're right,
Yes.
as always, Sal Capaccio, as a former first-round draft choice. Quick follow-up on Matt Milano. Obviously, the injuries have been killer. When he's been on the field, he's been awesome. What does he look like health-wise?
He's looked really good, guys. Matt restructured his contract. The team and him restructured his contract. He's going into the last year of his deal. He had 2 years left, but took some reduction in base salary in order to earn more back in incentives after coming off another injury year where he came back at the end of the year last year.
Mm-hmm.
If Matt had maybe 1 or 2 more weeks last year, I think we would have seen really the full Matt Milano, but he got really to a point where like, okay, you're starting to see Matt Milano, but he as an undersized guy, the way he plays, he's dealt with some injuries. He's fantastic when he plays. I think he's one of the best off-ball linebackers in the league when he's on the field, when he's healthy, and he's really dedicated to his body. And I think that he's looked really good so far in camp and in minicamp. And I think he's just such a big, it's a big bonus for the Bills if he could stay healthy. He just processes things so quickly, gets to a spot so quickly. And look, maybe at the end of this year, things work out. He resigns with the Bills. You never know. I mean, he loves playing in Buffalo, loves his coaches. We'll see about that. But in the meantime, if he has a great year, he hits the free agent market next year at the age of 31, not the best time for a guy at his position. But he's banking on himself.
Wait a second, real quick, Sal.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you say? I think he told me before, Sal. It might have been a private conversation. Didn't Matt Milano's parents or something? He grew up a Jets guy. Is that right?
Is that true?
Matt Milano's family grew up Jets fans. That's exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
They were from New York. I believe his dad played at Rutgers, to be quite honest with you.
Oh wow, there you go.
Yeah, I have to look at that. I think but they're a great family. They all live in Orlando now. His family lives in Orlando. Matt actually. Sidebar on Matt and his cousin own a fishing charter company and boat down in the Naples area. So Matt's a Florida kid now, but they are New Yorkers at heart originally.
Yeah, you're not prying him away, Boy Green. So
hey, whoa!
He's a Bill. He's a Bill. He's not going anywhere. You talked about the Bills rolling the dice a little bit. Certainly a guy they rolled the dice on as well is Joey Bosa, who they picked up during the offseason. Yes. I know he didn't participate because he's injured. Give us the latest on his status.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So the Bills had quite a few guys that were shelved for minicamp that did not participate due to injury. Joey Bosa is one of them. And look, it's because of precautionary reasons for a lot of these guys. They're just taking every precaution at this time of year. Brandon Beane told us that he expects all of these players, including Bosa, to be ready for training camp. So there's no long-term injury concerns. But Joey, they signed him. He has this injury history. And sure enough, right away, we go out for the first OTA practice last month. And Sean McDermott says, hey, you won't see Joey Bosa. He's out the rest of the spring with a calf injury. And you're like, okay, well, the two reactions that come in from Bills fans are, one, okay, he's always injured. Here we go. Why'd you sign the guy? And I get that. The other reaction is, who cares? Put him in bubble wrap until the playoffs. That's when we need him, right? So he'll be ready to rock and roll come training camp. He actually was doing stuff off to the side, like pass rush stuff, off to the side that we saw. And look, Joey Bosa is going to be a real big addition to this defensive front if he can stay healthy, because the Bills love to rotate their guys. They have not got to the quarterback in the most critical of moments. That's what they need him to do. Then you add Landon Jackson as an addition. You obviously have Greg Rousseau, AJ Epinesa. So, this is an area where, and I think a guy that's under the radar is second-year player Javon Solomon out of Troy a couple of years ago. This is a guy that led the FBS in sacks a couple of years ago, gets selected by the Bills. He went to Troy, broke records set by DeMarcus Ware and Osi Umenyiora. And he's a little undersized, but I think he's a guy that can get to the quarterback a little bit.
Oh, that's very interesting. Sal, have you? I know Hard Knocks isn't supposed to start till training camp. You seen any cameras around?
Mm-hmm.
Are you? Did you get a new shave there? Are you trying to get some Sal Capaccio Hard Knocks appearances?
Listen, there's never been a camera I didn't like to be in front of around. Okay, so I mean, there's always cameras around me because I seek them out. But listen, I mean, I joke, but I'm being pretty blunt and honest there. Listen, they are going to be at training camp. They'll start at training camp. The Bills didn't want them there. The Bills did not choose Hard Knocks.
Mm-hmm.
Hard Knocks chose the Bills. The rules were changed. The Bills are now eligible. They were never eligible before. Now they are, even though they've been to the playoffs. This is not something the Buffalo Bills wanted. But they'll be good partners. They'll play nicely, and they'll do it. The training camp schedule, as I'm talking to you guys right now, just came out, by the way. They're gonna have 10 open training camp dates in Rochester at St. John Fisher, and they'll start on July 23rd. They'll go until August 7th, I believe it is, maybe 8th, right before their first preseason game, which is against the Giants here in Orchard Park. But yeah, listen, I think the Bills have kind of said it, but it's known. And I'll tell you, the Bills, this is not something they wanted to be a part of, but they're going to be a part of it. They were chosen, and they'll be good partners at the end of the day.
All right.
What has been the reception?
Okay,
just real quick, what's been the reception from fans? Because I'll tell you this, Sal, right? And the Jets perhaps different for everything the Jets are versus what the Bills are. But when the Jets got another run at Hard Knocks recently, the whole Aaron Rodgers thing and everything, I thought Jet fans were going to love it. I was excited for it. Jet fans hated it. They're like, a distraction, all these things. I was sort of curious. So now we go to Buffalo, right, where you guys don't get the attention a lot of fans think. And then now finally a surge of attention is naturally coming. League MVP, Hard Knocks and everything. What has been the reception by you guys, the media, and also the fans?
So I think in the media, we think it's pretty cool. We're going to see this, and we've never been a part of this. What's it going to be like? I think kind of looking from the outside in, what storylines of the national – HBO think is cool versus us. And, what are we going to see is because we know how this process works in the media and all that. So I think that part of it's cool for us. Most fans are really excited, I think, to see this and get a little more additional access because not everybody can make it to training camp and see their favorite team. But there's quite a few fans who think, oh no, we don't need this. Nobody ever does well after being on Hard Knocks. It's a big distraction. Look at you never know. I mean, I'll use the reference of Joe Shane again, and I know Joe Shane very well. It wasn't like he had any malice or bad intentions about the way things went on the Giants in the offseason, but you never know how things get spun. And suddenly people are making fun of it and can't believe that you said something that you didn't think was going to turn into something. And I think that's what everybody's kind of afraid of in this situation.
Well, look, Buffalo not usually known for its big celebrities, but there was a little off the field incident, dare I say, and that is your quarterback got himself married to a celebrity. It's been very public that they were dating. So is Josh Allen changed at all now that he's a married man?
Other than wearing a wedding band when he throws a football. That's really the only way I think he's changed. I mean, he does have a wedding band on. We noticed that when he showed up to OTAs that week or in minicamp. Interesting, Haley Steinfeld, the actress, and Josh Allen obviously got married in California. You didn't hear much about the wedding. You heard a lot about the lead up to the wedding and the fact they were getting married. But if you notice, guys, there were no social posts or anything. Right now, she put something. I think she has her own blog or something she writes, and she put out a bunch of pictures and wrote about it. But I think it was pretty intentional, and you could see that this was a thing where everybody who was there, it was privacy, probably like no phones, nothing like that, right? And but Josh is a star. We know that he's a superstar. But as I always like to remind everybody, he's from California, but not from LA. She's from LA, and she's a Hollywood actress. Josh is from a farming town in California. Right. He's always been a blue collar, unassuming kind of guy. It's this kind of stardom for him is a little bit different than I think that a lot of the guys who have been quarterbacks to come up through a quarterback world and go to the Elite 11 camps and the big, major programs and all those kinds. That's not Josh Allen. It's not who he was until he really got to the NFL and now became an MVP.
Yeah. I mean, we can never predict how long people are going to stay together, but because of his roots and kind of the way that he seems to carry himself as a human being, I mean, I fully expect that they're going to be married for years and years and years. This isn't like the two celebrity thing and we just want to put these two monsters together, even though he is a huge celebrity because of what he's done on the football field. He just seems like a really good grounded guy.
Josh Allen fits Buffalo as much as anybody who's ever played in this city fits Buffalo. Yeah. And I say that because, he is such a blue collar, hardworking guy that's kind of unassuming, and he was always counted out his whole life in the underdog. And that's kind of what we are, right? What we've always been here in this city. And his connection to this city, though, what he's done, I think that goes under the radar. And I'll tell you guys, I do a lot of work with, and in conjunction as well with Oshai Children's Hospital, which is where Josh Allen's foundation is, the Patricia Allen Fund. And I'm actually the MC for Josh's, what they call 117 holes of golf, which is a couple of weeks ago, where guys literally play 117 holes of golf in one day to raise money. Yes. And Josh is there. And I go, and this year, Josh showed up early. He couldn't stay for the festivities at the later in the day because of the wedding that week. But I was there, and I see the passion that he puts into, making sure that this is all done right. But the other part of it is, and I'll say this, I don't think people realize the stuff he does that no one talks about, no one reports, and I see some of that stuff, and I'm not even going to come in and get into it and say it. I just know that stuff happens in this community. Right. And I think that's super cool. And he fits this city better than maybe anybody who's ever played in this city.
Good way to put it.
Powerful words. Well, Sal, just want to end here, if we may. Again, you've done all these wonderful things. You're on the Pat McAfee show. I'm seeing you on the TV. Again, these cameras love you, Sal. I don't know how you keep finding them. Got like a magnet in that thing. But I have to tell you, Sal, with all the success that you've had, and we're just neophytes in this YouTube world, me and Manchild together, I do my own Jets thing on the side, but us as this new entity leaving the radio station, what's your advice, Mr. 13,000 subscriber?
Been asking for a lot of advice lately, Sal.
I am. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the secret sauce.
It's a good question. It's a good question. I think I would have two pieces of advice for this space that you're going into. Okay. Number one, be creative. There are a lot of things you can do you could not do on radio.
Totally agree.
Right? Like it's a visual platform and it's super cool. And I'm always finding myself going, oh, you know what? I should share that on my screen and take a screenshot and upload it. And you guys are using the same platform I do, StreamYard, and you can literally just put it in as an asset and just put it on the screen and be creative, right? Have fun with it. This is something that and I'm not talking about being like, it's not, oh, they're not FCC related, so go and, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying be creative. I think that's number one. But number two is, and I found this, and I get caught up in this still to this day. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just it's okay if it's not. If you don't have the exact right time or, to get with somebody, make it work some way, shape, or form. You're doing this. I think one thing I try to avoid, and I don't know how you're going to structure your show, guys. I try to avoid, I got to have it done on this date at this time. We're going to do this show on this day at this time. It's kind of a moving target. When we do it, we do it. When Matt Bove and I are doing It's Always Game Day in Buffalo, it's not every Monday, every Tuesday, not a certain time. That puts a lot of pressure. We're going to do it when we are comfortable doing it together and then giving it to the audience. And then it just shows up in your platform and your feed. And I think that's kind of the beauty and the charm of doing it, which it doesn't, and maybe it's great to have it regimented. I get the routine, but to me, you don't have to, just because if it's not perfect and you're not ready for it, don't do it. Wait till you're ready to do it.
Yeah, it's an on-demand world, right, Sal? So
yes.
Now a person can just go get it when
forever.
they want it, right? It lives forever. That's one of the really cool things. I mean, even in our current radio world, we have limitations on how long things can stay on our platforms.
Yes.
At least the ones that are provided by our radio company. And, that's always sad because people will go in and click on things that we maybe put out a month ago, and it's a really great interview and it's not available anymore just for space considerations. So now in this world, we have, unlimited space. Everything will be archived. People can go into our channel and go listen to something that we did a year ago. And we hope to be doing this for years. So hopefully it will come out that way. Always great to chat with you, my friend. Appreciate the advice too. And looking forward to many more, dare I say, impromptu chats on the Bills. As they say, the camera loves you, my friend. So we're trying to figure out the same thing.
I appreciate that. Before I go, I've asked this question to Paul in the air. I'll give this to you, Jim. Okay. You ready?
Sure.
Who breaks the playoff drought first out of the two professional American sports teams that have the longest playoff drought going? The New York Jets or the Buffalo Sabres?
Ooh, Jets or the Sabres? Is Dominic Hasek coming back anytime soon? That'd be make it a lot easier for the Sabres. I'm going to give this guy his props, Sal. I'm going to say that the New York Jets, their time has to come at some point. I do like their new choice of coach. I think Aaron Glenn, who bleeds a little bit because he played for the organization, is going to bring something they haven't had in a while. They still got some quarterback things to solve. We'll see what Justin Fields is this year. Like any team, if you're chasing quarterbacks, you're not chasing any rings anytime soon. So you got to find yourself a guy, and then you got to build a roster around that guy. Will Fields become that guy for the Jets? So it's okay to be optimistic, especially in what they've been through in the last few years. But I think I have some hopes for at some point this cursed organization known as the New York Jets finds their way to a championship.
The words "some point" resonate there, right? Because listen to me. To answer the question, I don't know the answer to the question. Obviously, it's a fun question, but
yes,
it should be easier in hockey to make it. First of all, should be easier in hockey. I think what's holding the Jets back might be more so even their competition to get in than it is themselves at this point. And that's what's making it tough. So, we both live in that non-playoff misery here for a little while. We lived it with the Bills. Now we have the Sabres. And my boy Paul Boy Green's got it with the Jets.
Yeah, but it's like the original movie Wall Street. I mean, you got to look into the abyss a little while before you find your character, and it's the abyss that gets you to find your character, right? Wow. Good old Lou Mannheim. Thank you, Lou, for that beauty.
So let me get this straight, Lurch. You're saying there's a chance?
There is a chance. Yes, there is. Sal, thank you. Always appreciate your time, my friend. All right. Sal Capaccio, our Bills insider, WGR. And of course, you can catch him digitally too. And if you like this video, don't forget, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us, just click on that. And it's at MC Show Digital to become one of our subscribers as we continue to churn out digital stuff. Thanks, Sal. Good to see you.
You got it, guys. You too.